Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So what's the page number, Meenaji?
It's page 264.
Okay, it's in my book, it's called section 6, Valli 6 of chapter 2, but I think it can be called section 3 also of chapter. Section.
Tritiya Valli.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Tritiya Valli of chapter 2, and the verse is Urdhva Mula Avakshaka. Okay,
Yes.
so basically what I explained in very much detail about this. So what it is that Krishna Bhagwan is talking about, Krishna Bhagwan, he also talked about in chapter 15. Here I have to come back, switch gears. Here Yamraji is talking to Nachiketa, and he's talking about that there is this upside down tree, which is this whole universe, represented by the whole universe, and call it Ashwatha tree, which is people tree or fig tree, because it is that tree is the strongest, the longest, and the sabse bada hota hai, ghana. And this tree is called Sanatana tree because we don't know when it came into existence, this universe. Nobody knows. So it is forever, it's been there and it will be there. And but it's called Ashwatha because constantly changing. It's in flux. You can't catch it. It's the same thing. Okay. So and it gives us a lot of trouble. All this attachment we are talking about, it is that only, no? So it gives a lot of trouble. But uska jo mool hai, means uska jo root, where all the nourishment comes of a tree, that nourishment comes from that Brahman, and that Brahma is Shukram, is pure, and it is Amritam, immortal. So the source is that Brahman, and that particular Brahman, everything exists in that Brahman. You cannot transcend that Brahman. And I gave the example that it's like ornaments and gold, and the ornament is saying, I want to be this necklace, but I don't want gold. That's not possible. Okay, gold is gone, ornament is gone, same way. None can transcend it. And Aitad Vaitad. This is that. So that's what we did, and now we can read Swamiji's commentary. Any question on this? Yeah, Nareshji?
I was wanting to read the comment.
Oh, yes, of course. Go ahead, read.
So this is the ancient Astavata tree whose roots are above and branches spread below. This is really the pure. That is the Brahman, and that is also called the immortal. In the rest, all the worlds, and none can transcend it. Verily, this is that.
So it says, in that rest all the world. So just to make sure that उस ब्रह्मन में सब कुछ है. और ये this concept is that विश्वरूप दर्शन जो भगवान दिखाएंगे 11th chapter में, this represent that everything rests in Brahman. It's just like all the waves, all the foam, all the water, everything is rest in ocean. That's how, nothing can be beyond it. So that's what it means.
All those who have at least a scrappy knowledge of Sanskrit are advised to get hold of a copy of Sri Shankaracharya's commentary upon this mantra. It's a piece of joy. Even the great philosopher Sri Shankaracharya was seemingly carried away into the realm of pure poetry and literature, and the beauty of the deep suggestions contained in the above mantra.
So it seems, I have also not read Sri Shankara's commentary. If somebody has the time, inclination, and, can get this, I've heard that he has really elaborated very beautifully, and he himself was a poet besides being a, adhyatmic person, and it's supposed to be very beautiful commentary, because this is also completely tied up with the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So if somebody wants to understand it more deeply, can, go study that. And then come and share with everybody.
Just as the sweet scent of the night flower wafting towards us can give us an idea of not only the presence of the night queen shrub, but also the roots that sustain the plant. So too the Shruti, from an observation of the finite world, of the names and forms, wants to deduce the root of it all, that lies in the region concealed from the superficial observation. Thus, in order to point out an unseen cause for the seen and experienced effects, the scripture is here bringing out a beautiful comparison of the universe projected out from the reality in the form of an Ashwatha tree, peepala tree. It is also relevant here to remember that in describing the same fig tree, Lord Vyasa also had devoted 3 entire stanzas in the opening of the 15th chapter in his masterpiece Bhagavad Gita.
So he's just telling you that if we are walking at night time and a sweet smell comes of Raat Ki Rani, jisko bolte hum log, so we know that plant is there. So he's saying that when we see this world, so we are forced to think there has to be a cause for it. And that is that causeless cause, you can say. So जो लोग नास्तिक लोग होते हैं ना कि वो लोग बोलेंगे oh I don't believe in God. Okay, don't believe in God. Who's asking you to believe in God anyway? Do you believe in yourself? Oh yeah, I guess. So where did you come from? Then for a second then they will give बड़े बौखला से जाएंगे, you know, because it's like, hey, your existence should make you ask that question, where did I come from? You know, and you know, when I was born, I suddenly, you know, at whatever age, I became conscious of myself. And then, you know, when suddenly one day I'm gone, so did I just disappear? So अगर वो लोग थोड़ा नास्ती भी होंगे ना, उनके मन में ये विचार आएगा. और actually, चिन्मयानंद जी used to make that comment. He's saying, actually ना, हम लोग नास्तिक लोगों को ना ज़्यादा importance नहीं देते, but actually they are very आस्तिक. They are just confused. They are seeking for answers. That's what it is. Because everybody has this somewhere deep in them, this question, you know, where did this world come from? Where did I come from? All that, you know. But, and sometimes these Nastic people become Astic very quickly. अगर उनको तुम सही ढंग से कोई उनका मार्गदर्शन करे, कोई संत महात्मा, बहुत जल्दी ये लोग चेंज हो जाते हैं, because इनमें क्यूरियोसिटी बहुत है, you know. So that's where it is. All he's saying is that this world is out there spread in front of us, and now with the telescope, you know, billions of galaxies, ये वो, इसका substratum क्या है? And then if we go back to the science, for anything to move, you need a non-moving substratum. Otherwise, a thing cannot move. That's a scientific fact. If I want to see a movie, I need a screen. Without a screen, either TV screen or any kind of screen, I cannot see a movie. For a car to go, you know, ride, you need a road which is stationary. So if you go back to that kind of theory, a scientific theory, if the whole world is in flux, there has to be a substratum. Because of that, it's moving. That substratum is pointed out here, that, hey, there is this tree that you see in a form of upside down, because the nourishment is higher, diviner. That's what it is, above, like that. Yeah. And then one more thing I wanted to, I think I've shared it, that some Mahatma made this sentence, the world is a signature of God. You know, or the cosmos is a signature of God. That when you see it, you know, hey, the signature is there, somebody got to be there. You know. Yeah.
Shankaracharya in his commentary also provides us with the reason why the samsara has been compared to a tree by the Shruti. In Sanskrit, the word vriksha means a tree because it is felled.
So here he's talking about that Shruti is all these our Upanishads and all that, huh? They are called Shrutis. So संस्कृत का वर्ड वृक्ष की वजह से उन्होंने ये अश्वत्था ट्री बनाया, बिकॉज वृक्ष जिसको काटा जा सकता है. वी आर डिस्कस कि वृक्ष को उखाड़ा नहीं जा सकता. तो ये संसार को ना, अगर हम लोग बोलेंगे आई डोंट वांट दिस संसार फ्रॉम टुमारो, यू नो, लाइक बोलते ना प्रैक्टिस गेटिंग वैराग्य, इट्स नॉट गोना हैपन. That's what Krishna Bhagavan told Arjun. with the sword of non-attachment you cut this tree. Non-attachment will come with vairagya, means it is like knowledge of real and unreal. That's where you cut, meaning what? In our it's not like काट के फेंक दो, ऐसा वाला नहीं है ये. It's not going to bother me. मैंने मन से काट दिया उसको. है तो ठीक है, नहीं है तो कोई बात नहीं, kind of thing.
Commonly known to the majority, there is no tree which is so extensive in growth, sturdy in build, and long in its duration of life as the Pipala, and the Shruti could not have thought of another tree equally appropriate to compare it with the world of plurality. Generally, the professional writers of cheap bazaar notes, led away by the literal meaning, explain the tree of samsara as having its roots above and the branches hanging down. This is absurd, and even in the Shruti statements cannot make any Ashavata tree to do a
Shri
Shasana.
Yeah, upside down Shri Shasan, yes.
However, much misguided artists may try with colors to represent this misreading of the Shruti text by Sanskrit Pandits. Shankaracharya has very pointedly hinted at the misunderstanding.
So he just telling you that when it say upside down, उसका बड़ा subtle meaning है, उसका deep meaning है. So उसमें जाओ, word में नहीं, वो ऐसा नहीं कि tree upside tree है, वो Krishna Bhagavan is saying the whole sansara is like that. That's not what the meaning is. So he's going to go into the next verse and tell you what Urdhva Mula means. Yes.
The Urdhva Mula, roots up. The word Urdhva here does not mean up in the sense of geometrical up, but it is used to indicate the idea of reverence. Thus, of the many parts of the tree of samsara, the root is much more sacred, and hence Urdhava. The tree of samsara has its roots sucking out of its sap from the Vishnu. Yet, Paramam Padam, the supreme place of Vishnu, the all-pervading Atma.
So ये जो बोला है ना Vishnu Paramam Padam, this has come in Kathoupanishad already. And here Vishnu is not from the Brahma, Vishnu Mahesh. You talking about the Brahman को नाम दिया है Vishnu, because the meaning of Vishnu is the big, the biggest. So yeah, the world में बोला ना big, so there's a comparative है, कि भाई you have a mouse and then you have a what you call whale. So obviously whale is bigger, but if you have a ant and a mouse, then mouse looks like a giant. Right? So, but this Vishnu is talking about जिसका कोई comparison ही नहीं है, the largest, the biggest. That's why they say the Vishnu Padam. So he's talking about that just like in a tree, the root is a very sacred thing. Without root, the tree is nothing. Root को काट दो, tree नहीं रहेगा. Same way, संसार का जो nourishment है, वो ब्रह्मन से मिलता है, and that is at a higher level. That's why there's a higher prakriti and lower prakriti, and all that is going to come in chapter 7. We'll be going soon, chapter 7 in Bhagavad Gita, and then it'll become even more clear what is this higher state called.
Again, there can be yet another reason why Shruti has chosen this Pipala tree for her purposes of representing samsara. The very word Ashwatha can be liquidated in Sanskrit into three components, parts, meaning thereby that which will not be tomorrow. Samsara is a word that indicates the world of the finite objects, where death and destruction are the constant happening. No simpler word would have more completely and so effectively indicated the world of perishable object as Ashwatha.
So there are double meaning of the word Ashwatha. One is because they chose the Ashwatha tree, the people tree or the fig tree is called the Ashwatha tree in Sanskrit because it is the longest and most durable, सबसे घना होता है. और दूसरा Ashwatha का meaning, और आपके book में Naresh ji at the bottom, do they have word meaning? They have.
Ashwatha literally is a knot, and it says swas, tomorrow, stop, existing, meaning impermanent.
Yeah. So it's a Ashwatha. Shwa means tomorrow, A means no, Stha means रहना means to be. So जो कल नहीं रहे. और आपने को मालूम है कि संसार में कोई भी चीज़, even scientifically speaking, is never the same. It transforms immediately. Even our body, the scientists say that cells are constantly dying, new are being born, and in I don't know how many years, 7 years, you are a new person. Or if you see a river, same water is never there for like millenniums, So recycling everything and all that. That's what it's. स्थाई नहीं है, हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना. No, stationary नहीं है. And if you go at a molecular level, so we know that atom, nothing is stationary in there. It's going at a very high speed, everything, all those little things.
In spite of our repeated efforts at finding for them sufficient reason to generate their appreciation of this gem of poetry and philosophy, our educated Hindu brethren, in their ardent prejudices against the style and content of the Upanishads, might yet find some difficulty in understanding it. Chinmaya may here try to give for them yet another example.
So I guess, when Chinmayananji, way back then, he wrote this commentary. When he came, उस ज़माने में ना वेदांत सभी लोग को नहीं पढ़ाया जाता था. But he revolutionized it. He said कि बच्चे से लेके और बूढ़े सभी householder, everybody can benefit from Vedanta. So he must be having a lot of other people arguing and this and that, that what is this upside down tree and all this. Now he's going to bring us next paragraph, he's going to tell us the family tree होता है ना, उसमें भी ऊर्ध्व मूल है. Because the root is above and then all the people, great grandfather is up there. So he's saying in a Western also they use the same thing, that the roots are above. Okay, maybe the next one.
Have you not seen in your history textbooks charts representing the line of descendants of the various ruling families? Each of them starts with a great grandsire and then branches out into sons and daughters, who in their turn again spread out into an array of grandsons and granddaughters. And infinitum, don't these printed charts look like a tree with its roots up? And they are literally called in English as the charts of family tree. If our modern historians, in their matter-of-fact, unpoetic approach to data, can come to use such a poetic idea of a family tree, would you not, if not in sympathy, at least in an intellectual understanding, give the recists of the Upanishad the benefit of doubt?
ऋषि, एक्चुअली वो संस्कृत में ट्रांसलिट्रेशन में उन्होंने, बट दे टॉकिंग अबाउट ऋषिज. द ऋषिज ने उनको कितना ब्यूटीफुल ढंग से ये, बिकॉज अपने मॉडर्न लैंग्वेज में भी वो लोग वो ट्री यूज करते हैं, फैमिली ट्री. ट्री से क्या संबंध है भाई फैमिली का, मगर उसको फैमिली ट्री बोलाया और उसका रूट्स अबाव है. Such a great example he came up with. Nobody can dispute that. We all have seen that. Yeah.
In short, the Upanishad wants us to understand only the simple fact that the finite world, the Ashvata, is itself rooted in truth and maintains itself from the nourishments drawn from the absolute truth. The samsara is a tree mainly because it can be cut down and removed once and forever with the firm acts of discrimination, viveka.
Yeah, and that he's referred to, chapter 15 of Bhagavad verse 3, because that's what he told Arjun, that this tree, the way he described in Bhagavad Gita, ये ट्री ना फैलता जाता है. अगर संसार को हम लोग अपने मन में कंटेन नहीं करें ना, वो जड़ पकड़ लेता है यहाँ वहाँ. और एक वो कौन सा ट्री होता है, बरगद का होता है ना इंडिया में, जो एक शुरू होता है फिर दूसरा ग्राउंड में चला जाता है, राइट? It's like a big, huge family.
I think they call it the banyan tree.
Banyan tree, exactly. And वडोदरा में है ये, बड़ौदा में. If you see, सब जगह वो बड़े-बड़े trees हैं. And that's how the संसार की, अगर इसको मन में नहीं रोका गया ना, तो ये फैलता जाता है बुरी तरह. और that's what he's saying कि वो उसको फैलाना बंद करो और डिटैचमेंट की तलवार से काट ही डालो उसको. So, I mean, and he used that language or Arjuna in there because Arjuna was a warrior. But I think we got the picture, to what he was trying to say. So,
And another thing it says is, to me, that the sooner you cut it, the easier it is.
of course, there you go. अगर बहुत फैल जाएगा तो कितना काटना पड़ेगा. तो
Actually,
जब
what it is, there's a banyan tree in Lahaina, which is, they say, is like 500-600 years old and has support beams which runs, I think, miles across.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, there's in Swamiji's commentary in chapter 15, he also said Ashwatha tree का एक और भी meaning है. Ashwa यानी horse, right? Like संस्कृत में अश्व is horse. तो बोलते हैं जहाँ पर horse आके रेस्ट करते हैं, ट्री इतना बड़ा है वो अश्वत्था ट्री कि भाई ये पीपल ट्री हो या बनियान ट्री हो या ये क्या बोलते हैं फिग ट्री हो, इतना घना और बड़ा है कि the horses go and rest over there. Just trying to show that it supports this sansar supports all our desires, all our this, all our that. And then like there is another Upanishad, उसका नाम है श्वेताश्वर उपनिषद. And one time when I was in Houston, Tejome Anandji came to give a lecture for 1 week on Shvetashwar Upanishad. We call it camp, spiritual camp. उसमें पूरे संसार को ना एक wheel के समान का example दिया कि there's a huge wheel and it continuously moving because time chakra, right? And then all the different spokes are different aspects of this wheel. So, and then the third Upanishad I heard is, it is compared to a river. Constantly moving, and there are so many things happen in the river, so many jivas are supported and all that. So all these are giving us idea, और river में जितना पानी जाता जाएगा उतना फैलता जाएगा river, right? And things like that. So they have given lot of different examples, but here in Kathoupanishad and Bhagavad Gita they have used the tree example. And then in Bhagavad Gita it's going to tell you that it has different leaves, and then the desires are like the एक टहनी होती है, हाँ, ब्रांच, उसमें फिर एक गांठ आती है, फिर दूसरी ब्रांच निकलती है उसमें से, right? So desires are like those गांठ. I don't know, the name is there in English, something they call it, I don't remember now. That the tree keep growing. So just like somebody was saying that if you don't contain it, we know human desires are like there is no end to it. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Umaji, isn't it true that when somebody is trying to achieve moksha, then he has to give up the desire of moksha also?
Yeah, in the end, that's 100%. Because according to Krishna Bhagwan, he already, some of the commentaries we saw in earlier chapters and in chapter 6 also, that desire will keep him from getting that.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like a total surrender. Yeah. That abhi main tere haath mein hu, Bhagwan. Whenever you want to, I am just relaxing. Then you get it. Yeah. It's like the sleep. If you have anxiety of sleep, you cannot sleep. You have to let go. So I think we do have some time. So I can start the next verse. We have 10 minutes. Next verse is kind of interesting because this the first verse is okay, the trees and all, because still it's mystical. कि भाई वो source जो है Brahman, that Brahman, I need some proof. I need more proof. Nastic people don't give up that easily. नहीं मेरे को दिखाओ क्या, और एक क्लू चाहिए मुझे, तो उसका आंसर है इसमें. So here is a verse, and this one I'll just read it, I guess. First line, there's some rhythm. Second one, I don't know what the rhythm is. Yadidam kincha jagat sarvam prana ejati nisrutam. And then this one I have to read. महद भयम व्रज मुद्यतम य एतद te viduhu amrutaha bhavanti. Yat is which, idam is this, kincha, whatever, jagat, the whole universe. Cosmos, I think that's the word in English. Sarvam, all, prane, the pranas being present. So here, pranas, we are going to see the meaning is slightly different here. Yoga में होता है ना प्राणास प्राणायाम वगैरह तो they're talking about breath, and then we learned that pranas are also all the physiological functions that are happening in our body, digestion, circulation, all those things. They are also comes under prana shakti. But here, one step ahead of meaning is going to be. Ejati is a very interesting word. Vibrates. And in science, we know everything vibrates. Every atom, there's a vibration in it. These guys already knew it. Ejati is the word. Nisrutam is also a very interesting word. Manifestation of something. Emerged. So it's like when we project a movie, it's really not there, but it's a play of light coming from the machine. Same way, this whole jagat, actually it is, we can't catch it, that's why. Everything is moving so fast and everything, but it's coming from that Brahman, it's just projected from the Brahman. That's what it means, emerged. Mahat is great. Bhayam, terror. So why he's talking about terror? That's a little bit scary why he's talking, but at the right context is there. Vajram is thunderbolt. तो ये वज्रम होता है ना, इंद्र देवता का वज्र खड़ा हो गया, वो लेके सब कांपना शुरू कर देंगे. Why did they say? We'll see. Udyatam, uplifted, standing with that vajra in hand almost. Ye, who, etad, this, te, they, viduhu, no. Amrutaha, immortal, bhavanti, they become immortal. Who are these people who become immortal? So, just to come back to what they're trying to say, to understand it. So we are seeing this whole world right now. But exactly like what we saw in Bhagavad Gita, is this world stationary or is it moving? If I look outside, everything looks so serene, it looks like stationary. Right? But in reality, nothing is stationary. It's constantly moving. So that's one point that we have to remember. So he's talking about the word ejati, that this vibration means it is in flux and dynamic. This world is dynamic. It's always in the flux, always vibrating. How it is vibrating? Because of pranas. So they are talking about that in that Brahman, there's one kampan hota hai jaise. Shake. It starts shaking. It's really the Brahman is not shaking, but the pran shakti comes out of there, which seems to be shaking. And that vibration causes this world to emerge. Okay. So whenever anything is moving, we have given the word prana, because Tejomayananji was explaining that the root word of prana he was talking about somewhere, it an se aata hai. Not the an that we eat, that is anna. This is some other root is there in Sanskrit. An means moving. So when we say pran, so in Upanishad, when we say prana means something moving. That's why when the breath ko pran bola gaya hai. When we say shwas na, andar jata hai, bahar aata hai, usko bolta hai pran shakti. Because breath is also moving. So breath को भी प्राण बोला गया है. Then सारे functions जो होते हैं उसको भी प्राण शक्ति बोली गई है. But here they are talking about pranas are referring to Brahman. Why? Because that shakti comes from Brahman of vibration. So it's like Brahman is there and the power of Brahman is, it vibrates. That vibration causes the cosmos to come in the world. And even after it comes in the world, is constantly vibrating. So when we say that the world is stationary, you ask a scientist, he's not going to agree with us. Ek stone la ke rakh do maine apne yahan. Is it stationary or is it moving? Common man will say it's stationary. किसी scientist को लेके आओ, और बोलो कि तो बोलेगा नो एवरी एटम इज मूविंग इन देयर, नथिंग इज स्टेशनरी ओवर देयर. मेरे को लग रहा है, आभास हो रहा है इट्स मूविंग, but the moment you see some instruments and this and that, it's moving. So these guys already knew it. So here the prana word is actually referring to that Brahman, that wahan se ye shakti of vibration is coming. That's how we have to see. So what Tejomananji was explaining, that even in Kathoupanishad, we may have forgotten it, but there was a verse when they talked about that the Ishvara part. Who is Ishwar? Ishwar is the Hiranyagarbha state. What is Hiranyagarbha? Total mind functioning. The total mind functioning was called pranas. Because, the vibration has already begun over there. And then it comes and continues and it manifests like that. So, but we cannot understand yet the Chaitanya or, the Shuddha Chaitanya. So that's why they referred to the Ishvara aspect as pranas. Okay? And so, just remember that here that it is referring to that highest one. And then he also said that this Ishvara aspect is Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti, both are there. Means you have knowledge and you have power to act. That's how this whole trickles down, and that's how we get that power too. So he's saying this word Nisrutam. So that means the world has just emerged because of that prana shakti, and they are constantly moving, but to us they appear to be stationary. That's all it is. So we can interact with them, the world and all that, but actually it is moving. How it's moving in a rhythm? Because some people might say a world is a chaos. And some of the Swamis say, no, world is a cosmos, not a chaos. Everything is orderly. And he's saying that scientists को भी पूछ, science ने ना बहुत तरक्की की है बोलेंगे. Well, इसलिए की है क्योंकि laws of nature are fixed. Everything is working in a rhythm, and even the earth and the moon and sun, everything is in a super rhythm. It repeats itself. That's why you have the space shuttle. जब जाता था तो कब जाएगा, कब उतरेगा. Now science can make progress only because there is a law of nature. That's what he was referring to, that it's moving rhythmically. And he's saying that there is another kind of rhythm also. We only think about this heavenly planet, but अगर तुम एक आम का बीज डालोगे तो आम का ही पेड़ आएगा, उसमें अंगूर नहीं निकलने लगेगा. और अगर कुत्ते का बच्चा कुत्ता होगा एंड ह्यूमन का ह्यूमन. अगर chaotic होएगा, कोई बोले oh there is no rhythm, there is no, hey, then you don't know what's going to come out. He was just joking. So he's saying just think of it, that there is a complete law and rhythm. Okay? That's why science is also there. So now, how it is perfect? So he's saying that he gave an example. He said कि सब कुछ इसलिए चल रहा है अच्छे से because there is some authority over there, as though holding a vraj and खड़ा है वहाँ पे डंडा लेके. उसके भय से सब कुछ चल रहा है ढंग से. Because हम लोग वो भय वाली भाषा समझते हैं. तो he gave an example. जैसे अमेरिका में ना सब स्पीड कर रहे हो, यहाँ से इंडिया में तो बहुत स्पीड करते हैं because the police never comes after you, so everybody is driving 80, 90, आराम से. So he's saying एक पुलिस आ जाता है ना वहाँ पे पेट्रोल, सबकी 55 हो जाती है. सभी लोग बड़े rhythmically चलने लगते हैं. So he's saying because the danda is there. So he's saying that same way we think that law of nature is there, but there is a lawmaker also behind it. That's the Brahman. And it's just a poetic language as though he's standing with a danda over there. So I say, okay, that the Agni says, I'm going to burn, and the water says, I'm going to flow. Because अगर वो खड़ा नहीं होता डंडा लेके तो अग्नि ठंडी हो जाती. Okay, that's what it is. That's such a beautiful thing, the way he's saying law and order is because everything is moving, and the same idea is going to go into the next verse. So we'll read next time, so everybody can think about this. Yeah.
Hey, Umaji, when we said the Brahman, that's a stationary, okay? and then there's vibrations going on. Would you say that's the power of it,
Power of
right?
Brahma, exactly.
So
Maya Shakti. When you say Shiv and Shakti,
Shiva, okay, that's what I was trying to get at. The Shiva Shakti. So that's the Shakti we are talking about.
without that vibrating power, you cannot have a cosmos.
Right, because then it gets to the three gunas. So that needs it because that creates.
Right. So create something, you need mixture of things. Like Swamiji used to say, hey, to drink a nice cup of coffee, I don't know about these guys who drink black coffee, Baba. That's what we cannot connect to that. It's like South Indian coffee because you're from South. You need milk, sugar, and coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
3 gunas. You need.
That's what I can.
Then a nice coffee is,
But again, at the end of it, we will come to know this is only that there is only Brahman. There is
True.
only Brahman.
It's like, yes.
And after all reading all that, after doing all that, that there is that Shakti, that there is movement, that there is, the law.
True.
That, I mean, there is this world, but it's only a superimposition on that.
Superimposition for us to just enjoy, but we come here and become very dukhi. That's our problem. Like some people, who have had this experience of oneness, so उनको पूछते हैं लोग कि भाई they also didn't want to come back to the world, and then some of them explain it was very deep insight into it. He's saying that there is something called oneness and something called individuality, and you want
At the same time, they could see it.
Yeah. Means we come on this earth to express our individuality, which cannot be done in that realm. When everything is one.
Yeah.
Like if the ocean is all one and it just stays there like one big water body, there's no fun in it. The animals cannot be in it, and the waves have to come. But the wave fully well knowing that, hey, I'm actually this whole ocean, but I'm just playing. Then they can enjoy. So for us also it comes kind of similar kind of thing. That it's just an expression of Brahman, that's all it is. Or a gold. A big lump of gold is sitting. You can't do anything with it. You make ornaments, then all the women, even men in the olden days, कभी यहाँ लटकाया, कभी ये किया, वो किया. You can have fun with it. Something like that. I don't know if that made sense.
Only one question now. When somebody achieves moksha, then he merges with Brahman.
Yeah.
So he has become part of Brahman then?
See, he was always part of Brahman. He just realized that he is because when we say moksha, that's the whole problem. When we say we merge, so we might start thinking that we are separate. Right? It's like ocean and waves and ocean lilies. That's the best example. If the wave thinks I'm merging with the ocean, hey, you are always a part of ocean anyway. Now you're just realizing it. That's all it is. So when you say moksha, अब मुझे वो knowledge मिल गई. So मैं कभी अलग थी ही नहीं. So just think about that concept. It's hard, but that's the truth. That we cannot survive. Go back to the previous words. Nothing can transcend it. So I was always a part of moksha, but I didn't know it.
Is it a part or I am?
I am.
I am.
Because it's like a space. You cannot cut it.
Yeah. So it's I am.
Actually, somebody, like I was reading a book, this modern age book. This fellow is called Walk in the Physical. That's the name of the book. And somebody wrote a whole quote that how each living being is so integral part of the whole that the whole cannot exist without each integral part.
Yeah.
And it makes, don't think undermine yourself, he was saying. You are the whole and you are the part, everything you are only. It's something that we have to contemplate upon. It doesn't go into our psyche that easily, but it's like I am already that, I just don't know it. That's why that ego comes. That's why, if you think about it, that's why the attachment also comes.
But then when they say, usko moksha ho gaya, and he's not coming back anymore.
He can if he wants to. That's then वो इच्छा से आता है फिर वो, because he has become ईश्वर. You know, like Krishna भगवान से मेरा भी जन्म हुआ है, तेरा भी, मैं अपनी इच्छा से आया हूँ. लेकिन तेरे को, you have been pushed into this world because of your karmas. It's not that he won't come, he will come. और किसी ने बोला कि अगर संसार बनाया है तो जैसे कि एक फैक्ट्री है, फैक्ट्री बना के छोड़ दी तो कभी न कभी तो आएगा ना देखने के लिए. So that अवतार के लिए बोला है. So that was a good example. So it's, I think that we get a little confused, but what they're trying to say is that he won't be tied up like with the karma. That's why we say karma bandhan se छूट जाएगा वो. Yeah.
Maji, can I make a comment off camera?
Yeah, of course. Off camera meaning? You want me to
I'm
stop
happy to
the...
turn my video on. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Geeta.
I just had an idea about what Sushilji brought up earlier, about can there be vairagya between husband and wife? And I think that, yes, definitely. And the vairagya is this, that, you both understand and that we are both going to teach each other vairagya, love without attachment. And one example of that would be that if I am sick, then don't let that trouble you or cause you sorrow, and you remind me that I'm working out my karma, and therefore I shouldn't let it bother me, and in fact I'm lucky that I'm working out my karma in this life, so I won't have to do this particular thing in my next birth, and if so you remind me that I shouldn't be depressed because of my condition, and I'll remind you that you shouldn't be depressed because of my condition. And if I develop something chronic, a chronic disability or something, and then you have to do so much seva for me because of my disability, you remind me that I should not feel guilty that you are doing so much seva for me, because probably that's your karma that you're working out. My karma that I'm suffering this, and your karma that you're having to serve me while so that way we both relax, and this is when, as soon as there's a kind of a peace in that's what we're aiming at. That is vairagya. And then suppose I go first, don't grieve for me too long, don't feel that you're being disloyal to my memory or anything, dishonoring me. If you start going back to your normal life, if you need to find somebody else, go ahead. Again, you're not being disloyal to my family or anything. It's just the way it is, It's, this is a stage on which the actors will come and go, and that's the way we're supposed to look at it. So that is, maybe that's an example of vairagya between husband and wife. Did I get it right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That's a good aspect of it, vairagya for sure. Knowing the bigger picture, that's all it is. And knowing that the person who has gone on a spiritual journey. So you don't need to feel sorry for them. You should be, like Joe says, no, he always feels like happier. So, it's not like, hey, I want somebody to quit early because, hey, not that thing like that. Joe's ka prarabdha hai wo hai, but if person is quit. I mean, I saw my own mother. My mom and dad were so much like together, my God, entire life. The great couple. Okay? And my mom was so dependent on my dad that we were like scared as a children that what's going to happen. And the way she, did herself, bolna chahiye, how she lived after my dad passed away, she became a great example for all of us. She did not get depressed, exactly like what Geeta is saying. She loved my dad so much, but she accepted the fact that it was time for him to go, and now she has whatever time she has left. And she was a happy camper, and she contributed so much in our family. And, my children also loved their Naniji so much. She would call them, even though she couldn't speak complete English, tuta-futa English, she will talk to them and everything, She brought a lot of joy after that also. I think that came from her spiritual strength, which we didn't know about. Because she was very simple in her sadhana. She didn't read big shastras and nothing. She just did her simple sadhana, but she had a firm faith in God. So it expressed at the right time, when it in her life it was needed the most. So what Geeta ji is saying is true,
And you're from that stock, Umaji. That's why you have the
I don't know. We all have our ups and downs, and it's a journey. So sometimes I'll slip and fail, and still pull your socks and get up and move. Because I have faith in Lord Krishna with all these verses and everything. So I'm going to close over here, and then we have still 15 minutes. And I'm going to ask, I know that Prabhakar ji's grandson has a question, and I'm very curious to know, and everybody else can be part of that too. So I'm going to close over here. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhaved. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Maji, can I ask the